Back here with head coach Jim Penders. As we delve into the schedule, we'll focus mostly on the non-conference slate. As coach, again, you put the schedule together, and at least to the fans, it's a great schedule in terms of the teams on there. For you guys, it'll be another challenging one.
Super challenging. It needs to be. We don't believe in dodging, competition. The RPI is what it is. We know that we're gonna be very strong in the conference with our RPI. So the argument would be, well, go play some weaker opponents early on, but that doesn't get us prepared for our conference. So we need to prepare accordingly, and our early season schedule is going to do that. It's going to test us right away. UMass Lowell is a very good team. They gave us a real tussle last year, and they're young, and they're going to be very good. That's going to give us a good test. The first weekend down at Port St. Lucie, hopefully we're a little bit, we're familiar with those surroundings. Hopefully that bodes well. And then on to Texas and back to Florida and then out to California. We're going to be adding a lot of frequent flyer miles in the early season, but I think it's going to get us ready, and we need to do that too. We need the routine of the flights and figuring out, especially our rookies, learning how to use their time wisely. And it's very demanding early on, but it's demanding all season long with the American. We got to hop on flights, so the sooner we can get used to those routines, the better.
You look at that first series down at Port St. Lucie 2 years ago. It went so well. Dealing with the Mets and being able to play at their facilities, and now you're able to go back down there.
Yeah, they're great to us. They're fantastic hosts. The Wilpon family, and Mr. Wilpon in particular, gave the guys a pep talk last time. Guys got to hang out with David Wright and Matt Harvey and see how the coaches, from the Mets work with some of the catchers and pitchers when we were down there last. And it was very affirming for our coaching staff and myself to kind of hear these major league coaches using some of the same terminology, going over the same lessons, the same curriculum, the same baseball curriculum that we use. So it was a really good experience, and hopefully it's an even better one this year. But we really look forward to that weekend, and that's the first time we're going to see another uniform, and it's going to be it'll be here before we know it.
Then you have the one that everyone will be circling to Texas Longhorns program that had their Augie Garrido just left after a storied career, and now again it just seems like Coach Pierce is popping up. Yeah. Sam Houston State, Tulane, and now he takes over for the Longhorns.
Yeah, he's done a great job every step that every place he's been. As an assistant coach, and he's been in Omaha as an assistant coach, and at Sam Houston State he built that program up and did a great revival at Tulane, and now we can't seem to avoid him, can't seem to miss him. He does a super job with his team. His whole staff is there too, so we know that they're going to be prepared, for the early season, and we're going to have a heck of a test. It's certainly one of the legendary programs in college baseball. I know we've played them. I think the last time was in Omaha, and I believe in 1972. So it's been a long time, but looking forward to seeing the burnt orange, and I know our guys are probably they're looking at that one as that's a little, that gets the juices flowing a little bit. You're going to Austin, Texas, and that big ballpark there, beautiful stadium, and all the tradition that comes with that. I'm sure the guys are excited about that, and the coaches are too. It's an opportunity to play a storied program and go toe to toe.
Week 3, you go to a familiar place, Stetson, where you were a few years ago. It's tournament style, your only tournament style of the non-conference slate. What do you expect when you go back to DeLand?
Yeah, we like to do that with different teams, get a little different look so that you're not playing, by the end of that weekend, we will have had 5 different opponents as opposed to just 3. And that's something that we like to do. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't, depending on the year. But we've been to Stetson before. They're also great hosts down there, and I expect it's good because you want to have some adjustments. When you have to wait for another team to finish their game, sometimes it doesn't get off on schedule. We've got to be able to handle that for postseason play. So I like to get the guys used to that as early as possible, and being able to adjust on the fly. We'll have to do some of that, I'm sure, at Stetson. But going to face 3 good teams down there, and it doesn't get any easier. I think that's going to be a really good test for us with Western Michigan, St. Joe's, and Stetson. We'll see what happens.
Then spring break pops up, and you have 3 new opponents that the Huskies have never played in program history. UC Davis from the Big West, and then a couple West Coast Conference schools, Santa Clara for one, and then at BYU, a team that will be likely favored in their conference entering the preseason. So again, you got to travel across country and play some tough teams.
Really good teams, long trip. We've gone out to California, and aside from the Santa Barbara leg of the trip last time, I thought we played although we played okay out there, and we played a really good team. But we've had success in California, and also it's strange, but you'd think that economically it'd be a lot more expensive to go to California than it would be to go to Florida, and it's actually the reverse. For whatever reason, in March we found some great flights to get out to California, and it makes economic sense. It makes sense for us on a spring break. It doesn't make sense for us to go that far for a weekend. So we've put together, I think, what's going to be a nice trip. UC Davis will be tough at home. Santa Clara, their building program, I think they're going to be very good. And then to hop on the flight, a quick flight to get to Provo. We followed Coach Blood. The University of Hartford really recommended that we go out there. He thought it was a great experience for his guys at Hartford a few years ago when they went, and that early we can't play at home. So we're going to finish the trip there against a really good BYU team, maybe the best BYU team they've had there in quite some time, and they had a good season last year too. So we're going to have our hands full.
Getting towards the end of it, fans will be treated to an old Big East matchup here at J.O. Christian Field. Seton Hall coming to town for a series.
Yeah, Coach Shepard and I go back a long way. We played against each other, and he and Coach Kandari on the pitching side there, they do a great job. My assistant coaches weren't exactly thrilled with that matchup because it seems like every time we play those guys, it's 2-1 and 3-2, and they're really tight, well-pitched, well-defended games, tense games. And again, I think that's preparation for our season. They've got some really good pitching back. So it'll be a great preparation right before we play our conference weekend. So to his credit, we've gone to Seton Hall a lot. They have artificial turf down there. To Coach Shepard's credit, he said, why don't we come to you guys? And he didn't have to do that. We're grateful for the opportunity to play at home before we open up conference play. So it should be a good opportunity for us to see some familiar faces, but also know that we're going to have a really well-coached team to go up against right before we open up our conference play.
And lastly, Coach, midweek games, non-conference-wise, much of the same. The one that sticks out, trip to Newport for now against URI, which should be fun.
Yeah, it should be, and they're still working on finalizing the details there. I don't think URI's released it, but that's the plan. We're going to try to play at legendary Cardines Field. It's extremely, it's got a great history behind it. If I'm not mistaken, it's one of the oldest wooden stadiums in the country. I know that it's one of them. It may be the oldest, and really quirky dimensions. Which can be fun, can be not so fun from a coaching perspective. The players, I think, will get a big kick out of it, and I believe that's after exams. So Coach Serrato and I also go back a long way, having played against each other in American Legion baseball. So he asked us if we'd mind doing that, and I thought it was a great idea. It's a little bit longer trip, getting over the bridge, but John Topa should be at home when we get over the bridge there, and should be a nice, kind of a new thing on the schedule. Good thing for our guys to experience.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Jonesy.